You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Alternative Talk, AM 1150.
We're listening to The Money Hour at 11:50 a.m. KKNW, the Saturday, October 23rd show. You can also listen to my podcast, Facebook premiere show, or the show YouTube channel. In addition, for more information on any of my upcoming events, you can go to TinaMitchellEvents.com. And I am your host, Tina Mitchell. It is a great day to talk about money, and that is what the show is all about: how to make money, save money, so you can have a better quality of life for you and for your family. If you are hearing my show at a different time of day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. I am here to answer any questions, or more importantly, to connect you with the guests that I have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150, or online at themoneyhour.com. And now in studio, virtual studio, we have Doug Peterson of Get Priorities Straight LLC, talking about managing and protecting your cash flow so you can be ready for whatever happens, right here on 1150 a.m. KKNW. Doug, welcome back to the show.
It's great to be back. Great to see you again.
Thank you so much. And a little bit about Doug. Over the last 20 years, Doug Peterson has helped people align their goals and visions, both personally and professionally. He founded Get Priorities Straight in 2018 to provide a program to help individuals maximize their personal income and improve their ability to invest. Having founded and run 8 businesses in his career, Doug has perfected a system that works regardless of industry, marital status, or income. He is currently working with Amazon manager, wealth managers, real estate professionals, attorneys, and technology professionals. Doug also managed the band Before Dawn, who did backup vocals on Heart's first album, Dreamboat Annie. You are one professional guy, Doug.
Something.
Or professional is not the word I'm looking for.
How about can't hold a job?
Oh my gosh. Well, Doug, it's always great to have you in the show. For anybody that's listening to the show for the first time, Doug is a regular contributor. He is the only person that I have on my show that represents this space in really helping to coach you with your money. So Doug, why did you pick the title for today's show, Manage and Protect Your Cash Flow and Be Ready for Whatever Happens?
Thanks, Tina. Yeah, I get confused with being a financial planner, and I'm not. I'm kind of more of a pre-financial planner, a pre-wealth manager. And it's amazing how many people don't have an emergency fund. They don't really know what it costs to live. They don't have reserves. They haven't really planned for infrequent expenses. So I think if people really learn the basics of cash flow management, which you'd be surprised how many business owners don't know, it's really understanding where all your money's going and when it's going out and how much you have left, regardless of your checkbook balance.
Yeah, isn't that it's interesting in a lot of business owners who have a lot of focus on their business, but then their personal goes to the side. We're going to talk about that today as well, Doug. But can you share the difference between budgeting, record keeping, and spending plan?
Yeah, so budgeting is kind of a bad word. Budgeting, people look at budgeting and go, oh, it's a diet. I don't want to do that. It means I won't be able to get what I want. And all budget really is, if you look up the definition, is a projection. It's usually a 12-month projection of what you think's coming in and what's going out. And most people think they're budgeting, so they write down a projection, and all they do is write down where everything went, and they're record keeping. A spending plan is dynamic. A spending plan is real time, knowing how much you've allocated and how much you have left. So you know you're really doing a spending plan. I like to call it an intentional spending plan because you decide where the money goes before you spend it. If you ask how much is left on the 28th of the month, how much is left in our entertainment fund or our groceries? And instead of just spending more, if you're short, you take it out of somewhere else so you don't keep raising your overhead every month.
Yeah, and if you're listening and you don't like the word budget, because as Doug said, majority of people don't, However, you know the importance of budgeting, just like dieting as well. You may not like the word, but you know what it's going to do and have that positive impact. So, Doug, how do you plan for the unseen expenses? Because those pop up every occasional now and then.
Yeah, often people say almost every other month I get a surprise.
Yeah.
And most of these surprises aren't surprises, really. If you look back, when you bought a car, you committed to car expense. Oh my gosh, I got a $2,200 bill on my car. Well, cars cost money. And if you keep records, you know they cost a lot of money. So even a good used car, I recommend $150 a month. So you're now looking at things that you know will come up, and you're slowly building up an amount. And 150 won't fix most cars, but after 10 months, you have 1,500. And if you just continue that on a regular basis, you have enough per car, by the way, for your cars. But also, we're looking for building an emergency fund, because there's just stuff you can't foresee.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably shouldn't say this, my wife will probably kill me, but we got bed bugs. Bed bugs are not from bad hygiene. They're just hitchhikers. If somebody brought them in a hotel and it was a brand new hotel, we took them home, $4,200. You don't budget for that or plan for that. So being able to set aside money for Christmas, for vacations, for insurances, yard maintenance, home maintenance, there's a lot of them. Then you'll realize you're not doing checkbook balancing anymore. You're actually managing the cash you have.
Yeah.
And over time, you'll find out, if you use my program, exactly how much you need on average, so you know how much you spend.
Yeah. Well, and everybody needs a coach. We all know that the best of the best in sports and everything else, they all have coaches, somebody to be accountable to and always helping them level up. In this space right here, we're talking about Doug as your personal coach for your finances. So yeah, and people have things come up like, oh my gosh, this expense came up, I've got to get tires, or I have to get my brakes done, or I have to do something on my house. Well, those you can plan, just as Doug said, these things are going to come out when you come up. But when you buy a new car, you know how long you might plan on keeping it. Find out ahead of time what you need to budget for those expenses. When you're buying a home, I provide the financing for that home. You can find out from the home inspector, which you should always get one, in what those future costs for the home are, so that when you're working with Doug, he can help you really put that into your budgeting. So Doug, what is the fundamental difference with your approach to cash flow management?
A lot of people say, okay, let's just put this in a savings account so we have some extra money.
Uh-huh.
And so there is no extra money. Every dollar you have gets a job in the spending plan. Even if the job is future income for next month, because we want to build up 3 to 4 months worth of income, or if it's a roof, or if it's we're going to have just an anniversary fund, a date fund. I mean, every dollar gets a job. So the conversation shifts with couples from we can't afford it to where should we take that out of? Because everything's been assigned. Mm-hmm. Now, when I talked about unforeseen expenses, it's not perfect. You may get a roof, which by the way, we did, and I need a roof replacement. I didn't have $25,000 in my emergency fund. I don't know many people that do, mm-hmm. but that's what a roof costs. So this isn't a perfect approach. There's no panacea, but when you pay attention, you can make way better decisions.
Yeah.
And people are amazed sometimes where their money's going when they actually decide where they want it to go. And in fact, we started looking through our freezer near the end of the month when we said, wait, we're funding our vacation. We're funding all kinds of fun stuff. We don't want to spend more on groceries.
Yeah. And isn't that just so exciting when you actually budget, you make note? Part of budgeting is writing something down every time you spend it before you make that purchase. Make note of it, whether it's on your app or on your notepad, wherever you're keeping that. Majority of people don't do that. And that's why they're wasting a lot of money. You're really going to think about it before you actually spend that money when you're actually physically doing that activity. And then also, if you're always saving for something, just like Doug said, you're going to rethink everything that you spend. No more buying something at the store and never actually opening it. And the next thing you know, a year or 2 years down the road, it's at your garage sale. That wouldn't happen if you're budgeting, making note, and always saving for something. So Doug, what is a common mistake of business owners who make good money?
I often see business owners and they're great at making money. So they go, I need something else. So they try to get more money. And it's not a sustainable strategy. They often don't know how much of their cash they've already committed. Just like I said, we've committed to, if you own a home, yard maintenance and house maintenance and a lot of other things. Uh, so they don't know what they've committed. They don't have dedicated reserves. So they make their decisions based on their checking account balance. And then they have a short month and a lot of things come in, quarterly taxes and other things, and they're not clear. And it can be pretty devastating. And you'd be surprised, really, really smart people have not been trained in cash flow management. So they're brilliant at their job, but they find themselves often chasing their tail. And since they didn't also know, well, they just find themselves in a bind, and it's completely preventable.
Yeah, absolutely. And if they're successful in their business, they're not doing all of the finance stuff for their business. They've got their bookkeeper and all of that. So they don't maybe have those skills that they're even getting in their business. So it's not showing on their personal side a lot of the time as well. So Doug, why do you start with personal finances with small business owners that have cash flow challenges in their business?
Well, first, I need to know what the business owner needs, what the business has to support. So, and this isn't everything they want, but how much can I have consistently every month and not feel any cash flow stress? You know, maybe there's other stuff I want to buy too, and I own a business and the business could afford it. But rather than draining the business, put yourself on a paycheck that's enough to live on, where you have no stress and you're in agreement with your spouse and you can move forward. And then look at the business and do the same process. What's the business needs to support? After I take out my money, set aside for taxes, set aside for profit, often business owners don't plan for profit before they make purchase decisions. I want to know I'm making a profit even if I'm spending money. And so, you know, you could argue a little bit that a profit-based business is trying to generate as many profits as possible. A growth business is reinvesting. But the key is, let's make sure we're doing this intentionally and really know what we're making, and then get on a quarterly bonus program that you're not living on. And that starts getting really fun because now there's little windfalls along the way.
So, Doug, do you see most business owners not really understanding how much they actually need on a monthly basis to live on?
No, and it's not just business owners. Financial planners tell me most of their clients are about 50% low on what they think they spend each month.
That is so crazy.
And you just can't keep it in your head anyway, you know. And we talked about averaging yard and cars. Well, some years are bigger than others, but over time you can get a pretty clear picture, and it's pretty neat seeing it's not just neat, it's really great seeing your net worth grow and not having money stress and not having challenges with your spouse because we can't afford that. I mean, those conversations just go away. And by the way, you mentioned wherever you keep track of stuff. I use a great program called YNAB. It stands for You Need a Budget. And it works really, really well. It sometimes can be a little complicated to set up, which is part of what I help people with.
Awesome. Yeah. And not only Doug is helping you put the plan together, helping you create that budget, understand what you're spending, what you're wanting to do for your future and your life and your business, holding you accountable, and providing the technology that you need to really do it efficiently. So Doug, why don't you really hear a lot about cash flow management? So shocking.
Yeah. You know, this one's a tough one. We need to really focus on, and I touched on it earlier, what it takes for us to move forward, both in our personal life and if we own a business, in our business life. And it's just a skill that we need to develop. So people just aren't trained on it, and accountants and bookkeepers don't do it. It's really rare for them to actually help you with cash flow projections and on an ongoing basis. So you need to learn the skill.
Yeah, and that's not their role, and that's why you need to have a personal coach like Doug with Get Priorities Straight on your team, so that you can really maximize your finances, maximizing your business, and ultimately maximizing your life. Doug, it's always the greatest pleasure to have you in. And I know we've got you scheduled for another show coming up, and just thank you for the wealth of information, your heart, and all of the people that you are supporting and helping in our local community.
Thank you, Tina. I really appreciate being here.